to my city, man. It ain't worth it, boy. Like, it ain't worth it. Like, me being a rapper from my city and Fulio being a rapper from our city, it ain't worth it. Like, my mouth getting dry, sorry. Like, the dissing, the beefing, the shooting, like, for what? Like, for what? Like, when you sitting in your cell alone, cold, it's lonely as hell in that bit. Everybody leave you. Like, nobody here for you. Like, the ones that's your ride or die, your girlfriends, whoever you love, the only person there for you is your mother. And maybe, like, one friend, maybe. But it ain't worth it, though, bro. It ain't worth it.
All right. Good afternoon. Is everybody present?
All right, good afternoon. Is everybody present? Looks like it. You guys switched places. Some of you did, so it caught me off guard a little bit. So, okay, but it looks like all of the defendants are present. Defense counsel's present. The state is present.
That is how a Florida courtroom opened the final chapter of one of the most calculated gang ambushes in recent memory, with a roll call. 4 young men, restrained at the wrists, answered to their names the same way they would answer to attendants in a high school homeroom. That contrast is the whole story in miniature. A bureaucratic Tuesday afternoon, closing out a coordinated execution. 3 gunmen, military-style rifles, and a handgun illegally modified with a switch to fire like a machine gun, unloaded into a hotel parking lot in broad daylight over a rap rivalry and a desecrated grave. Picture a single image, a tombstone, defaced in a Jacksonville cemetery, and from that one act of disrespect, a chain reaction that ends 2 years later with 4 men signing away the rest of their lives inside a courtroom. 1 grave, 4 life sentences. That is the entire arithmetic of this case. Before we go any further into what the documents actually show, make sure you are subscribed to Crime Files 911, because we do not just cover the story, we follow the evidence. Translate the legal language and the picture gets sharper. A motion to suppress simply means the defense tried to keep the jury from seeing the defendant's own cell phone. A motion in limine means they tried to keep the jury from hearing the word gang at all. 7 separate motions, filed by one defendant alone, all denied.
But also, during the course and scope of the trial in interim circumstances, and that were all on the record. First of all, that would be the motion to suppress Mr. Murphy's cell phone. Secondly, the motion to suppress Mr. Murphy's statements. Next, Judge, the motion for severance of the defendant, and in the alternative for separate juries. Next, Judge, his first motion in limine regarding Ghost 187, his second motion in limine and Darbert challenge with regard to law enforcement opinion testimony and testimony of alleged gang war history and hearsay-based gang intelligence, as well as uncharged and unsolved acts of violence. Next, Judge, Mr. Murphy's motion in limine regarding gang affiliation, gang identification, and gang charts. Mr. Murphy's fourth motion in limine regarding opinion identification testimony as it relates to digital media. The portions of Mr. Murphy's fifth motion in limine regarding irrelevant evidence. Mr. Murphy's sixth motion in limine regarding portions of the Robert Howard motion in limine, and also Judge Mr. Murphy's seventh motion in limine regarding State's Trial Exhibits 88B, 88C, and 101. We also would suggest that the court erred in
because the
denying—
state did not need inference. It had video. It had a defendant recorded on camera, personally wiping down 2 car doors.
All of the rest of the cases went towards knowledge, intent that that physical act was actually done and proof of that. And Judge, there is circumstantial.
It had cell data placing him at the scene and tracking his movements in the hours after.
High-profile investigation, homicide investigation would occur. There was all the phone evidence from his phone that showed his activity immediately after this crime.
That is the irony at the center of this case. Years of pretrial argument over whether the evidence was fair. Built on top of a crime scene that left almost nothing in doubt. The getaway car was hidden at a grandmother's house the same day the murder happened.
From that city, they were hidden. That car was hidden at his grandmother's house the day of the homicide. When the homicide occurred, he brought it and he switched vehicles and switched contents that was contained within the suspect murder vehicle and put it into another vehicle.
Its contents were swapped into a second vehicle. 2 doors were wiped down, but 90% of the car was never touched at all because nobody expected the case to end up this airtight.
Pulled over in it. The interior of 2 of the doors are wiped down, and that's it. Nothing else is wiped down within the car. It's not consistent with someone trying to impair any availability. Obviously, there would have been 90% of the car still available to be tested for whatever physical evidence might have been.
Here is the part that should unsettle you more than the gunfire itself. What if the cleanup had been thorough? What if the only piece of forensic housekeeping these men got right had been the one that actually mattered? This case was not won because the men behind it were careless amateurs. It was won by inches. A hotel security camera nobody disabled. A retail store surveillance
tirelessly on this case. They worked hand in glove with Detective Ramos. And again, Detective Drabeck having the wherewithal to know to go into the Walmart and pull the video. Like that's good old-fashioned detective work that really yielded results for the state of Florida.
A detective with what one prosecutor called an encyclopedic memory.
That was remarkable, and particularly in light of the fact that it was his first time as a lead detective. I mean, and he had an encyclopedic knowledge of this case. I mean, I'm talking about massive amounts of information that he could recall instantly.
Change any one of those, and the outcome changes entirely. For what? That question did not come from a defense attorney or a grieving mother. It came from the judge herself, reading the sentences into the record. For what? She asked, describing a rap feud and a grave desecration that escalated into murder.
The community, if they're made aware of it, will stand by and put up with that. I mean, it's just tragic. And, you know, Mr. Jones did not deserve to die for what he did or the drill rap videos he made. But goodness gracious, going and desecrating the gravesite of a murdered relative is, you don't deserve to be killed for that, but you just increased your odds that it was going to happen. And that's the truth. That is the truth. So I'm not at all, again, stating that he deserved it, but it's just shocking. It's shocking to me. And I do have great sympathy for the defendants. You all, for the most part, are young men. And some of you have children. And now, for what? For what? Now, you're looking at life in prison.
For what? She asked again, describing a multi-county police investigation built to solve a killing over a turf dispute.
Results for the state of Florida. I also want to commend the cooperation with the Polk County Sheriff's Office, the Gwinnett County Police Department, and I believe it was at Putnam County that found that provided the telephone for Darius Beals. Was that the Clay County Sheriff's Office? I mean, it really is remarkable. And again, not every state in the United States of America? Do you have agencies that work that well together with a common goal? So
For what? She asked a third time, comparing it to gang homicide numbers in cities far larger than this one.
This is not the way to go. It's not. It's not. Because look, we have Charles Jones is dead and 4 people who will now spend life in prison. And again, all for what? For what? Nothing. Over nothing. Turf warfare, drill rap videos. I mean, it really is nothing. So one thing I found that was, when I was listening to the testimony, I think when Robert Howard testified, he testified that Jacksonville was the new little Chicago. And I almost fell out of my chair, because I can't even imagine anyone in Jacksonville wanting that comparison. So I was curious. I looked it up, and who knows if this is accurate, but apparently in Chicago last year, there were 406 homicides. A quarter of that was gang-related. That's about 104 people. Dead, poof, gone. For what? For what?
Dozens of young men gone every year for reasons nobody outside the feud can ever fully explain. And here is the parallel the cameras barely caught. One co-defendant, a young woman, stood trial alone, was convicted only of manslaughter, and received 15 years.
Well, that's okay. If I'm hearing you correctly, you are taking issue with the fact that I don't know if she's your current or former girlfriend, but she went to trial. She was convicted of a manslaughter and got 15 years, and now you're here facing life, and that I would assume that seems unjust to you. Is that correct?
That's highly...
The men who stood trial together, described by the state as acting as a collective.
And obviously we allege that there was, the defendants were presented as a collective group, which would have included obviously Mr. Davion Murphy, and there was considerable danger of guilt by association simply because Mr. Davion Murphy was tried jointly with the other co-defendants.
Received life without parole. Same parking lot, same victim. Wildly different outcomes, depending entirely on whether a defendant stood trial with company or alone. One of the men said as much directly to the judge, in his own words: guilt by association, not participation.
She tried by herself. So I feel like personally, I got guilt more so by association than like participation.
The sentencing transcript in this case is part of the public court record in Duval County, Florida, entered exactly as it was read aloud in open court. No editorializing required, no narration needed. Pull it yourself. And when you do, sit with the one question this case never fully resolves. When a jury convicts a group as a unit, is it punishing what each man actually did, or simply who he happened to be standing next to? Tell us your answer in the comments. If this case left you with more questions than the verdict did, hit like. Share it with someone who needs to see how cases like this actually end. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Crime Files 911 follows every piece of evidence until the story is finished.